Hello and welcome back to Josh Davidson Books, my author channel where I am continuing my ongoing author commentary for my first novel, Werewolves Hide, in preparation for the work that I'm putting into the sequel, Book 2. If you enjoy this chapter or have enjoyed any chapters of either the story or the commentary that I have been offering while doing it, please consider ordering a copy of the book. It's only $4.99 for the digital version. I do have a link in this video description. Where we last left off was the end of chapter 12, where we got introduced to the sheriff. Madison was going to the police station trying to find an old police report. And we had the major transformation scene for Bo finally turning into a wolf for the very first time. So here we go, chapter 13. A soft, calming white glow falls over Blue Ridge Park in the dead of night. The dense fog forming at the base of a mountain chain obstructs the surrounding nature, but the trees, shrubbery, and wildlife critters that inhabit the park are all accounted for. The chirping and clicking of pine beetles play like music as a soundtrack for the serenity. All things in the wilderness are as they should be, in harmonious tranquility. Suddenly, Wolf Bo comes crashing into the fog, seemingly out of nowhere, causing the wildlife to flee and the beetles to go silent. The way that I pictured this scene was like some sort of classic Disney wilderness scene from either the opening of Beauty and the Beast or Bambi or something like that. Just serene, tranquil nature, all is calm, and then, werewolf, a big blue giant wolf, slams in and makes all the animals run for their lives. He slowly walks forward on his hind legs, breathing heavily and making chewing noises. Trudging onward, he holds a large bull elk in his teeth by the throat. The carcass has numerous stab wounds and is bleeding from rubbing against the wolf's razor fur. The elk is roughly 700 pounds and appears to be dragged effortlessly without Wolf Bo using either of his arms to try and drag the weight. Head to tail, the elk is about 8 feet long, and its hooves are just barely low enough to the ground to scrape in the dirt. Wolf Bo releases the elk from his mouth and falls to his knees at the base of one of the mountains. The lifeless elk immediately flops into the fog without a moment's delay. Looking up further at the mountain, it appears to be a volcano he has found his way to. He continues lowering himself to the ground, lying face down in the rocks and dirt. Arr, arr, arr. That's arr, arr. He attempts to howl again, but it does not have the same timbre or menace it had earlier. As he continues to pant heavily, the wolf features on his body begin to recede. The razor fur devolves and loses its sharp edge. His legs and arms shorten as his snout shrinks back down to his nose. His paws return to a traditional feet shape. His claws give way to regular fingernails, and his eyes return to their natural blue color. The fur that enveloped him travels backward to the right side of his abdomen, where all the changes started in the first place. Fully returned to human form, Bo lays naked against the volcano's base underneath the fog. So we had the big transformation scene, wanted to show the de-transformation and confirm kind of in my world that it doesn't work the clothes don't shrink and appear if you're wearing clothes and you turn into a full wolf form, they're shredded, just like we teased at the end of chapter 12, how a piece of Bo's white shirt, flowed toward Sheriff Theron. All right, so we have a scene break now, and we're somewhere else. Sometime later in the night, Madison sleeps in her bedroom. She is still fully clothed, and Chess is on the television instead of being turned off. The phone is on the bed beside her instead of being on the charger. It lies where she last held it as she passed out. It lights up and begins to ring. After a moment of deep sleep, Madison awakens and answers the phone. Hello? She's still waking up. Madison? Tommy's voice asks from the other end. Who's this? What's wrong? It's Tommy. Okay, what's wrong? Why are you calling me so late? Madison is gaining consciousness and growing concern. It's Bo. Madison jolts up in her bed. What happened? Is he all right? Tommy tries to comfort her right away. He's fine. He's completely okay. Went on another bender and found his way into my park. Is it too much of a favor to come pick him up? Yes, it is, but I'll be right there. Madison goes to hang up, but Tommy shouts, Madison, wait! Yeah? Stop by his place and get some clothes. He's buck-ass naked. Levity and sense of humor from Tommy. Also, characterization that he's not too concerned with what's going on. Madison rolls her eyes and takes a deep breath. She hangs up the phone and grabs her car keys off the bed table. The television is left on as she hurries out of the room. Much later in the middle of the night, Bo sits with Tommy inside his ranger station. It looks like a log cabin on the outside, but it's a modern building on the inside, almost like a hotel lobby. Tommy has a sturdy oak desk and a security surveillance wall of monitors behind him. He's playing on his phone, leaning back in his chair, while Bo lays on the couch using a small brown blanket to try to cover up as much of his cold, naked body as possible. Madison and Lacey can be seen speed walking to the ranger station entrance on one of the monitors. Tommy looks at the monitor and then at the door just as they rush in. Lacey looks to her immediate left and sees Bo lying on the couch. Yeah, from like an imagination perspective or like a scene blocking perspective, I imagine, seeing Tommy look at the monitor, seeing them on the monitor, and then whip panning over to the doors as they burst open, kind of all in great succession. Bo's on the couch. He talks like he's been drinking and is groggy. Hey, babe. Lacey chucks the blue jeans and white t-shirt straight at Bo's face. The metal jean button conks him in the forehead. He groans in pain and rubs it for relief. Madison walks over to Tommy as he puts his phone down. I'm really sorry about this. He didn't break anything, did he? Tommy darts his eyes around, looking for the words to describe what he found. It's really, the thing is, don't worry about it. Madison has no clue what Tommy is trying to cover up, but continues. Well, thanks again. When he sobers up, the ear he's got left is going to hear a lot from me. Tommy scoffs it off. It's really fine. I'm just glad I could help. I'm glad I could help you. I'm glad I could help you again. He can't restrain himself since they don't get many chances to interact. Madison turns to leave, but Tommy tries to keep talking. Say, Madison, what do you say you take me up on that cook you dinner offer? While Madison considers his proposition, Bo has finished putting his clothes on and has Lacey marching him out the door. She pushes him faster than he wants to walk, forcing Bo to warily stumble toward the door. Lacey is cranky and spouts rage without stopping to breathe. Watch your step. Okay. There's a lot of swear words here. Buy the book, read the book. It's really funny. When Lacey swears, it's super charming, I promise. Watch your step or you'll break your foot. Then I'll have to drive you to the hospital for an x-ray so they can put you in a cast. Then you won't even be able to mow the lawn for me, as if you would do that anyway. I had to skip a bunch of words there. She keeps mumbling expletives to herself as they exit the ranger station and walk toward Madison's car. Madison can't help but smile at Lacey cursing so much. She's never heard that before. She turns back around to finally respond to Tommy. Okay, you can cook for me, but no salad. Madison is firm on her decision. Tommy puts his hands in his pocket and leans in close to her. I was thinking elk. A few moments later, and again, that's a callback to the fact that Bo brought a 700-pound elk into Blue Ridge Park at the base of a volcano. See? We got jokes here. A few moments later, Madison is driving her car with Lacey and Bo in the back seat. Bo is unconscious from exhaustion and lays his good ear on Lacey's belly as he snores. Lacey plays with his hair while her eyes are closed. She's barely staying awake. Madison sneaks a peek back at them and appreciates that they found each other, however crazy their nights can get. After driving for a while, Madison finally gets them home to Lacey's trailer. She parks quickly for Lacey and Bo to let themselves out of the vehicle. Lacey has Bo's arm over her shoulders and still is able to close the door. Madison rolls down her window so they can talk. Thanks so much, Miss Madison. I don't know where he'd be without you, where we'd be. Lacey is finally getting to express some gratitude to Madison. It's fine, really. I just hope one of these days a lesson sticks for you and that baby's sake. Me too, Miss Madison. Me too. Good night. Lacey turns to walk inside her trailer. Good night, Madison quietly responds. She rolls up the window and then turns her car around to leave. Before accelerating, the blinds in the trailer across from Lacey's suddenly close. She looks briefly to see if there will be more movement, but nothing happens, so she pulls away. As she drives by Denise's trailer, Denise is seen looking out her trailer window, apparently having watched Lacey and Bo get dropped off. Madison and Denise make eye contact with each other as Denise flips her middle finger at Madison, then slams her blinds shut. So there's this kind of, not a running gag, but a running scene, like an ongoing story element in the background where there's this unknown entity in a nearby trailer spying on everybody through blinds. And I know that, like, from my filmmaking days, if I were making a movie, I know how I could articulate that and give that visual to an audience enough times for them to remember and be aware of it. I was really concerned if people reading the book, like I'm doing now, a chapter at a time here and there, like, are you really going to remember something that happened 4 or 5 chapters ago? So yeah, that's something about the medium that I don't know if I'm going to address, if I'm just going to keep it like one big long movie, or if I want to like pretend like people are going to forget things. I'm not really sure. But my hope is that you remember that somebody is spying on them. Where we go. Finally back home, Madison stumbles through the front door and kicks her shoes off. She is visibly exhausted and needs to get back to bed. On her way back to her bedroom, Madison stops and pauses in front of Sam's old room. She presses the door open ever so slightly to look in more than she usually does. Covering her mouth and wiping her nose, she maintains her composure before trying to get back to sleep. I just thought... Well, hang on, let's read a little bit more. Yeah, I thought this point in the story, because, it's a slow burn start, and then we get some really exciting chapters with a lot of wolf activity. And then we're still dealing with the aftermath of the wolf activity with a little bit of character interaction and progression going on. Madison talking with Lacey, Tommy seeing Madison again and setting up a dinner date. And I thought I could take a couple of pages here and, not even a couple of pages, just a little bit of time to kind of redo the character scenes that introduce them, right? So we get Madison alone at her house, and then we get Bo and Lacey falling asleep in the trailer. And when we first met them 10 or 11 chapters ago, we didn't really know who they were, what they'd been through, things like that. I thought it would be fun to kind of come back and kind of not redo these scenes, but revisit this scene type kind of under a new context and a relationship with the characters and the things that they've been through so far. If you just heard the air kick on, I apologize, but it's hot in here. Back in her bedroom, she removes her jacket and loosens the buttons on her shirt. Then she pulls her pants down and kicks them into the laundry basket in the corner. She watches some of the chess matches she accidentally left on while walking over to her closet. She turns on the light bulb and reaches up on the top shelf, moving over a bunch of old boxes, finally coming to an old photo album that reads, Baby Number 1. She struggles, but finally pulls the picture book down from the closet and plops it down on the bed. She turns the light off in the closet and closes the door again before joining the album by plopping down herself. She lays in bed next to her memories and opens them. Really proud of that line. Also, the photo book is called Baby Number 1, so it is absolutely apparent that they were wanting more than one child before the accident happened. And then, what else was I going to say? Oh, there's actually a reason that Madison is feeling so sentimental right now, where she's normally kind of been closed off, because she's had to re-interact with Bo, and she just got done saving Bo again, like she always has, having this kind of like motherly experience with him, that her brain and her memory kind of started racing of all of those years ago. So it's not expressly stated in the book, but you can imagine a character has those feelings, goes through this experience with reconnecting with Bo and having her surrogate mother role refilled, and then having kind of memories flooding back and her wanting to think about the past, even though it's painful. She lays in bed next to her memories and opens them. Enjoying it one page at a time, she looks at old pregnancy photos from when she was pregnant with Sam. She sees her baby bump grow from the very beginning all the way to the 3rd trimester. She looks at the crib that started as random wooden pieces on the floor come together in a labor of love for her child. She sees a photo of the pizza announcement party at Petey's, where they used pepperoni to spell out, "It's a boy." A teardrop hits the pizza party photo, but Madison is quick to wipe it away. She hastily closes the book and slides it under her bed for fear of ruining any of the pictures. So, yeah, a little bit of memory lane for Madison. And also, when I wrote that crib line, I thought it would be a really fun kind of mirror or echo of Madison's time when she was becoming an expecting parent. If Bo could be building his crib for him and Lacey's baby, I thought that would be really fun. And I also just, as a parent, I also just felt like the crib and your baby's first bed is kind of a universal touchstone for everybody who's ever had kids or been around kids. It's like, oh yeah, the crib is a big deal, you know, like putting the crib together is kind of like one of the memorable moments from that time period, besides having the actual child. Okay, so scene break, we go back with Lacey and Bo. At Lacey's house, Bo and Lacey lie in bed with Billy the dog at their feet. Bo is nodding off on Lacey's belly like he always does, and she is softly singing about to fall asleep herself. Bo starts to ramble before he passes out. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't drinking. I'm going to do better now. Lacey plays with his hair and whispers, I know, babe, you always are. Just rest now. Bo responds more lucidly. No, really, I swear I wasn't drinking. I heard them say that earlier, but I was too foggy to defend myself. Babe, I ain't drank nothing in a few days. Lacey yawns and slows down her patting of his head. That's good, Bo. I'm glad. Bo has a quick self-realization. You know what? Me too. I've been trying a while and finally took a real break like I've wanted to. Lacey starts snoring and is no longer awake. Bo finishes his thought talking to himself. I just wish I had something to get this blood out of my mouth. So that there's a remnant of him being a wolf, you know. Also, I won't say too much, but if you're actually interested in this video, I would say think about addiction and how likely is it that Bo, who drank and smoked every day, would suddenly just stop and be fine. That's all I'll say. The next day, Sterling is still in his hotel room working on his laptop. The clock on the computer reads 12:12 p.m. as more 80s pop music continues to play. Printouts next to the laptop now include the moon and more anorthosite examples. They are stacked among an excessive amount of empty pizza boxes. There are several scribbled circles around a photo of Sadie Volcani found in Blue Ridge with question marks all around it. On his computer screen, he moves some graphs and charts out of the way to read old articles on the Blue Ridge Gazette website. The headline on the site reads, We're digital now. He scrolls through the archive section until he gets to 1896. Just as he starts to read an article about Blue Ridge founder Joe Briscoe, there's a knock at the door. What I just read to you right now, of the website saying we're digital now, and police officer Salad telling Madison we're digital now, that is the kind of world building and kind of like, reality building that I enjoy as a consumer of stories and that I'd like to try to make as a writer. I like worlds feeling big and connected through small details and events that is not in your face, that is not exposition dumps or world descriptions or whatever. Like if you are paying attention to the story, you remember that the police officer talked about we're digital now, and seeing the Blue Ridge Gazette say we're digital now too, it makes it feel like it's kind of all connected and together instead of being these separate entities. There's a knock at the door. Sterling quickly stands up to answer it, turning off the music and grabbing his debit card from his wallet. He unlocks the door and opens it. As he prepares to nonchalantly hand over his debit card, as he has been doing many times, he is shocked to see that Bo is his delivery boy. He's dressed head to toe in the Petey's Pizza employee uniform with accompanying flair. Bo is embarrassed and angry. I knew this would effing happen. It ain't even been a month. Hate this effing town. Sterling doesn't understand why Bo is upset. What is it you knew would happen? I'd run into someone who recognized me. But what am I supposed to do? I'm not going to drive 45 minutes and get a factory job in the cities. That wouldn't be worth the gas. I appreciate your predicament, but can I have my pizza? Sterling takes his pizza very seriously. Oh, yeah, my bad. Bo takes the pizza out of the warmer and hands it over. You know, it's weird to eat pizza without cheese, right? Like PB&J without J, or a sandwich with no bread. You're eating half of food. Sterling nods along as he's heard these types of things before. He ignores the comment and takes his debit card out to give to Bo. As Bo swipes the card for payment, Sterling checks his email notification. I want to stop really quick. So, obviously I wanted to show that Bo is trying to be more responsible, that he's getting cleaner with his vices, and he's making a real effort, but it's kind of behind everybody's back. He wants to, I think, confirm with himself and prove to himself that he can actually make changes for the good before he shares the information with anybody. And then I knew I needed Bo to get kind of a regular boring job. It was not going to be pizza boy. It became pizza boy when I realized, oh, I don't need to make up a new location. I don't need to make a new company. I already have a location in the town that is probably really popular and probably always needs a little bit of extra help. So making him the pizza boy I thought was fun. And then coming up with an excuse for Bo to interact with Sterling a little bit more as it starts to get into the last third of the book before Sterling's role becomes more prominent. I thought that that would be a good thing, that they could build up a little bit of rapport. Sterling checks his email notification on his phone. He looks at the email he sent to his son and is disappointed to find it still hasn't gotten a response. This inspires him to try and give Bo a little fatherly advice. Hey man, a job's a job. Ain't nothing to be ashamed of. Honest money is the best kind. Hold your head up high. Bo finishes the transaction and hands the debit card back to Sterling. Yeah, I guess, he half-heartedly responds. Anyway, take it easy. Sterling ends the discussion and starts to close the door, but suddenly has a realization. Oh, wait! He immediately opens the door again and Bo is still there. Yeah? Bo is ready to go. Sterling sets his pizza down and reaches over past the printout stack, picking up the anorthosite he had borrowed from Madison. He takes it back to the door. I'm done with this if you want to take it back to your mom. Sterling hands out the anorthosite. Bo has an unnatural reaction to the anorthosite. What once was a funny feeling before is now an overwhelming compulsion to have the anorthosite and hold it while he changes into a wolf. His lip starts to sweat and his knuckles clench within his teeth. Realizing he has such a strong response, he takes a step back. Bo is slightly scared. No, I don't want that. Keep it back, please. Sterling is processing the interaction as if he had some idea this is what would happen, but he wasn't quite sure. He obliges and puts the anorthosite down and out of Bo's sight. Sure, man, no prob. It's down. It's gone. Bo exhales as Sterling has put him at ease. Thanks, just don't really like it now. Like I woke up with an allergy or something. Bo is relieved to not see the anorthosite anymore. Sterling extends an olive branch to keep learning more. Hey, one of these nights coming up, I'm going to be out at the park doing some more research after business hours. If your mom wants to help, y'all are more than welcome. Something tells me Tommy would be fine with it. Bo has to leave. We'll see. I gotta go. And she's not my mom. She's just a family friend, like an aunt. Sterling smiles. Fair enough. Have a good one. Bo heads to his truck. Sterling glares at the bully hotel room across the way as he slowly closes and locks his door. That's the end of chapter 13. A really long chapter. That's got to be one of the longest chapters in the book. A lot of things happen there. We get the aftermath of the transformation. We get Sterling in his hotel room. We get Tommy making date night. Bo meeting Tommy at his hotel room with the pizza job. Anyway. Story pacing is really is a tough thing to crack. I don't have an editor. I don't have a writing group. I do everything myself. I make up all the characters. I make up the entire story. I, edit it all myself. And, on my own, obviously, I use the computer. But it's hard to determine the peaks, the ebbs and flows, the peaks and valleys of storytelling. Like on one hand, once you rip the Band-Aid off and show a bunch of werewolf stuff, you have a compulsion, a desire to let's just do werewolf stuff all the time now. But if you did that, then it would kind of wear out its welcome. So you want to kind of have these big moments, these big kind of memorable, flashy set pieces that are kind of, fun to reimagine and rethink about or visualize. And they kind of hold up under repeat readings or viewings if it's a movie. But you also want to, still remember that you're telling a story. It's not all about flash. It's not all about memorable sequences and shock value. And realistically in the story, at the pace that werewolf activity has been occurring, it would not suddenly run rampant. It would kind of build up maybe. And that's just, storytelling 101, to build up tension and build up action and try to continue to keep things getting even more exciting the longer the story goes, so that people stick around to the end and see what happens. So slowed it down a little bit more character work, but a little bit more plot and story stuff too, with Bo's interaction with the anorthosite and being reminded about the bullies across in the hotelway, and then Bo's big de-transformation ending up by the volcano at the park. So a really good mixture of character stuff and story stuff, even though there was not as much action as the last two chapters had. So yeah, overall, really proud of that chapter. Really glad of its landing point. If I remember, Chapter 14 is kind of what I call the date night chapter for Tommy and Madison, and I'm looking forward to talking about how I tried to still incorporate plot elements so that it wasn't just a character-only night, that the story does kind of move forward for the overarching plot, and how. Yeah, I don't know. I'll talk about Tommy and Madison in the Tommy and Madison chapter, but if I'm not mistaken, that might be the last chapter before things just kind of explode, and the last 8 to 10 chapters are kind of what I just talked about, a little bit more of kind of a nonstop werewolf situation. Anyway, if you enjoyed this chapter or have enjoyed any chapters, please consider supporting my work by ordering the book. It's only $4.99 for the digital version. I have links for this book in the video description. If you want to follow my author journey long term and see what happens next with book 2 or whatever I might write in the future, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. If you do comment, please no spoilers or a healthy spoiler warning, and try to keep comments only relegated to this chapter that I just read. As always, thank you for watching or listening, and I'll see you in the next video.